All right, so there's a story here which caught my eye that I wanted to share with you guys. So, look, for a while, I think it slowed down a little bit, but for a while, leaning into the anti-trans stuff was huge on the right. I feel like Ron DeSantis, when he was peaking, that was kind of when this stuff was at its peak. They even tried to run a bunch of campaigns in the midterms, leaning into some anti-trans stuff. Failed miserably, by the way. And look, I think it failed because the default instinct among normie Americans is just one of like, hey, inclusivity, equality, these things are good, right? Like, do I support trans rights? Yeah, I support trans rights. Why not? Like, this is just the normie instinctual reaction on these issues. Like, should trans people be treated like anybody else? Yeah, of course. Now, I would be interested to see, the deeper you go on that question, I would be interested to see the reaction. Because do you hit a backlash at some point? Because people love the idea of equality. They love the idea of being kind and fair to everybody. But then is there a line at some point where if something is new that the American people go, I don't know about that one. I don't know, right? But I'd be interested to see if you ask a polling question. Maybe it exists and I just haven't seen it. But if you ask a polling question of like trans people in sports, what's the public reaction, right? So, but what's interesting is the right has become a caricature of themselves on this issue. Because now you're even getting a reaction from them that trans people shouldn't be allowed, even in sports that have nothing to do with like how strong you are, for example, and how fast you are, right? Because that's what they would say on other sports, whether it be basketball or soccer or what have you. The trans women can't play with women because men, people who are born male have biological inherent advantages on certain issues. But now they've taken this argument to its extreme so that we're at this point. Look at this. Riley Gaines vows to pay prize money for women's pool player who refused to play transgender opponent. Outkick's Riley Gaines announced her intention to pay the prize money for a women's pool player who forfeited her match against her transgender opponent in protest. On Thursday, Irish pool star Kim O'Brien was scheduled to face Harriet Haynes, a transgender woman, in the European Pool Championships final. As soon as the match began, however, O'Brien turned to Haynes and revealed her decision to concede the match. She took Haynes' hand and was met with applause from her supporters at the venue. Gaines also praised O'Brien for the move and offered to pay her the money she would have earned if she won the match. Quote, absolutely incredible, Gaines tweeted. At the European Pool Championships, female player Kim O'Brien forfeited the women's final where she was set to play male player Harriet Haynes. I am happily paying her the prize money she lost out on. Stop playing their game. More of this. And so this is the tweet here, and there's a little video of what happened. The previous year, as BNN Breaking reported, O'Brien faced Haynes in the same competition. Haynes won by a, quote, significant margin, prompting further debate within the pool community about the fairness of allowing transgender players to compete with women. I've been trying to wrap my mind around this for a day now. When I first saw this story, I've been trying to get my mind around this. What is even the theoretical argument as to why biologically male players are what? Inherently superior at a game like pool? Understand something. This isn't pool as in like swimming. This is pool as in like billiards. I literally see no reason why a man, somebody who's born biologically male, would be viewed as inherently better at pool. You can make arguments when it comes to the more physical, like I said, basketball, soccer, whatever. There's a discussion to be had there, for sure. But when you get to pool, or something like darts, for example, or if you talk about like a putting competition for golf, on those things, I see zero inherent biologically male advantages. I don't see it at all. And so, look, that leaves us with, well, why did this woman do it? My guess is, as they point out, okay, she actually played this trans woman last year and got draxed. And this year, instead of likely losing, she sort of cloaks it in this fake virtuosity campaign. Oh, that's unfair because this person is born biologically male, so therefore I'm forfeiting because it's unfair. Look, again, you want to have the debate or the conversation around certain kinds of sports? Sure. Reasonable conversation to be had. And anybody who tells you it's not reasonable, I don't think they're really being honest about the situation. I think everybody views it as an interesting debate. But pool? No. And look, I could tell you this as somebody who's now the proud stepdad of 3. I know, I could tell by the age level, I could tell you when it gets to the point where, okay, now might be where they start separating the boys and the girls, right? But like when you're at a younger age, when you're at 7, 8, 9, even 10, the girls and the boys playing soccer, for example, there is no inherent, boys are stronger, faster than the girls. Not 8, 9, 10. No, it's roughly equal. And in fact, you could even make an argument, which kind of appears to me to be correct, by the way, that at the younger ages, the girls generally seem more like focused on the task than the boys are. So if anything, the girls seem to have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to certain sports. So I guess I just don't understand it. My response to how to approach this, I don't know. I would say you probably can leave it up to the individual sports leagues in question to determine what they think the rules should be. And I think in most situations, they'll probably come up with something that's reasonable and accommodating as much as humanly possible and as fair as humanly possible. So I'm cool with that. When it comes to something like darts or pool, chess is another one, right? I think they did, or maybe still do, gender segregate chess. And that I just don't, like, what are we talking about here? For pool, for darts, for chess, for like a putting competition, for things like that. I think the right is overreaching on these things. Like, this is a massive overreach. There is no reason somebody born biologically male, who's now a trans woman, has inherent advantages for pool. And so to throw a fit over this and act like, we are morally righteous and virtuous for trying to kick this trans woman out of the pool league. I don't see it. I think it's kind of goofy, and I think it's kind of embarrassing for the woman who made a big show of it and stepped aside and said forfeit. You just didn't want to get beat again. And guess what? This person didn't beat you because they're a trans woman and they were born biologically male. They didn't beat you for that. They beat you because they're better at pool. And I bet, there are plenty of biological women who probably could beat this woman, this trans woman. Because when it comes to pool or darts or anything like that, I don't see it. I don't see we have to make sure we segregate. I don't see it. And I think it's kind of goofy. And I think people who are obsessed with this issue are kind of telling on themselves. It's a very weird thing to be obsessed with. All right, guys, that's the show. Love y'all very much. Everybody do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. Deeply appreciate that. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. Thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon or who tips through YouTube. Remember, I've never talked to an advertiser. You guys help fund this show from the ground up. I cannot thank you enough. All right, guys, I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.